Hey guys, Rick Stone here. This is another in our monthly planting guide series, and this particular video is things that you can be planting in February if you live in zones 7 and 8. Okay, now if you don't know what gardening zone you live in, please make sure that you look down in the description below. There's a link that will take you out to our website, to an article that I wrote that will get you hooked up and you can figure out what gardening zone you live in. Okay, and if you don't live in zones 7 or 8, I also have videos for those of you that live in zones 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and 9 and 10. And those videos can be found in the description down below. So make sure you click through and check those out. But this one in particular is for those of you that live in zones 7 and 8. Okay, so 7 and 8, we're starting in February to see some hope. Spring is coming, temperatures are warming up, especially for those of you that live in zone 8. Things should be starting to warm up nicely, and it's time to start thinking about planting out in your garden. Okay, now one of the important things for planting is frost dates and knowing when your last frost dates are. I'm going to give you some general recommendations for when the last frost dates are in the different zones. Please don't hate on me about this, because there's going to be variability depending on where you live, what region you live in, and everything like that. But if you live in a zone 8, your last frost should be roughly April 1st. If you live in a zone 7, your last frost should be roughly April 15th. Now, there's variation. We could swing a couple of weeks either way around those dates, but zone 8, April 1st, zone 7, April 15th is roughly when you should be doing that, okay? Now, the reason why those are important is because we're going to use those dates to kind of count back and start planting our crops. You can start planting cool season crops outdoors 4 to 6 weeks before that last frost date. So, for example, if you live in zone 8, April 1st is your last frost date. That means you can start planting cool season crops outdoors roughly the middle of February. Okay, and so that's what we're going to talk about today, and we'll go through those lists. So for those of you that live in zones 7 and 8, we're talking middle of February for zone 8. And for those of you that live in zone 7, we're talking towards the end of February that we're going to be doing these things, okay? So first off, though, before we talk about outside, let's talk about a few things that you can be doing indoors, okay? So you could continue to start seedlings indoors for some of the cool season crops. Leafy greens especially do really well indoors, and you could start them indoors and then move them out as the weather continues to warm. So things like lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard, Asian greens, and arugula, all of those you could definitely be starting indoors to be moved out in 4 to 6 weeks out to the garden, okay? The other things that you should be doing is peppers, especially if you're in zone 8 and you want to get peppers going. You need to get them going right away, okay? Because they need 6 to 8 weeks indoors before they're transplanted out, which, if your last frost date is April 1st, then you need to get going middle of February or even sooner on getting those peppers planted. Same thing with tomatoes. You can start your tomatoes indoors now, and they should be about ready to go out when that last frost date comes around. Celery is another one that you could definitely be starting indoors. There's a few flowers that you could be starting. Zinnias, marigolds, geraniums, all of those you could be starting indoors. The other thing is if you'd like to try peas indoors, if you want to grow some indoors and then transplant them out to the garden, now would be a good time. February would be a good time to start those peas indoors, okay? Now, what to plant outdoors, because you can actually start doing a little bit of planting, again, depending on when that frost date is, 4 to 6 weeks before that last frost, you can start putting some things outside, okay? So mid-February, zone 8s, late February, zone 7s, you could plant these things out in your garden as starts. Broccoli, cabbage, kale, kohlrabi, collards, Brussels sprouts, and onions. All of those could be going out in February into your garden if you live in a zone 7 or 8, okay? And then there's a lot of things that you can be planting as seeds as well. So things like spinach, lettuce, Asian greens, Swiss chard, beets, carrots, turnips, radishes, peas. All of those can go out in your garden directly planted as seeds, or if you've got seedlings growing, those can go out as well during the month of February, okay? And again, target that date and look at, you know, what your conditions are like. Because I know that there's still going to be some snow every once in a while. If you've got snow in the forecast, maybe you need to wait till after that storm's over and things have dried out again. But it really is time for you guys to be cranking and getting things going with the cool season crops in your garden. So it's exciting time, fun time. February is kind of the early start for garden season for those of you that live in zone 7 and 8. So it's a good opportunity for you to get an early start on your garden and get after things. Okay, so cool season is the theme for both of you guys, 7 and 8. All of those cool season crops can start in February out in the garden, and move seedlings out as well. So fun time, exciting time for you. All right, okay, that's all I have for this week. We will continue to do these monthly over the next few months, and so look for more videos, and so make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that way you'll know when those videos come out. Click that notification bell too, and you'll get notice when I release new videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Did I miss anything? Leave it down in the description below, and we'll talk about it and maybe add it to the list. Okay? All right, that, my friends, is all I have for you for this month on the planting guide. Hope you enjoyed it. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening.